Above and Beyond, the real estate show. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Above and Beyond Real Estate Show. My name is Ralph Ciancio, broker here at Remax Hallmark Ciancio Group, and I'm joined with some amazing talent today. It's going to be a great show. I've got to my right here, we have Mr. Raymond Ortiz. We also have Colin Noble, and we have the new and improved Dan Luciano.
New and improved.
New and improved. He's better.
Hey.
That's the goal. Always improving.
Right?
Always improving.
That's how we improve. He has a better half now.
Exactly. So Dan is the newest member of the team, and he's new to the show. So I want to introduce Dan and welcome. Introduce you to all the thousands and thousands of viewers watching this, millions worldwide.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks for being here.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So Dan, you've been busy lately. Your feet have definitely been moving, and I got to say, for a new or a newer agent, you're definitely built up a lot of momentum quite quickly.
Definitely.
So I'm curious, from the ground level, you're right there on the streets. Tell us, what are you feeling? What are you seeing moving on there?
So I see a lot of buyers on the sidelines right now because of the shakiness of the market. They are taking the wait and see approach to see what happens over the winter into the spring market. If things start to settle off, interest rates start coming down, I feel like a lot of these buyers will start to begin rolling again, trying to get back into the market. Basically, that's what I'm seeing so far.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, I agree. I'm seeing that as well. I mean, there's a lot of commentary these days about what's happening, what's going to happen. A lot of people are waiting to see, right?
Yeah. But do you guys think that also is location specific? Because remember the house that we sold in Scarborough the other week?
Yeah.
That open house was crazy.
Yeah.
Like 75 people came through that open house. We had like 40 showings in 3 days.
Yeah.
So I agree, but it also depends on where people are looking.
Location
as well.
specific. I think also product specific, right? And
Mhm.
price point and a lot of other characteristics of the home, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think the message here is that there are buyers out there. I mean, Dan just said there's a lot of buyers waiting on the sideline. Colin alluded to the fact that buyers are kind of, stutter stepping on their actions. Ray just said that there was 75 families through in 2 days. The trend is obvious. There's a lot of buyers out there. There's just a lack of conviction to actually take action and put in an offer. I think there's some reverse speculation right now where buyers are thinking, well, if the rates go up higher or if prices are going down, am I going to be paying too much for this home? And, we had the same speculation from sellers, but in the reverse, when the market was going up, they thought, well, if I wait a month, am I going to get more money? So this is natural. I guess what I'm trying to say is this is very typical of the real estate market, the ups and downs, right?
Yeah. For the past couple of years, buyers have been paying top dollar for their real estate. So now they're really trying to make good, smart, savvy decisions and trying to time the market, which I suggest to tread lightly because it's impossible to time the market, right? Yeah. The only time a market bottoms is when it starts going up, and when a market peaks, it starts coming back down, right? So it's very hard to time. Yeah. So just tread lightly. When you find a good opportunity, I suggest you jump face first and take advantage.
Face first.
Yeah. Well, you were mentioning earlier today, we were talking about that there's a lot of opportunities out there right now. There's some excellent opportunities in the marketplace right now, but they're just not obvious because people are not thinking about it, right? And there's always this perception that there's another property coming. Yep. And the reality
which there always will be, right?
Always. In a hot market, a cold market.
Perpetual thing, right? Yeah. Like there's always going to be real estate. Anyways, it's a exciting time. A little brief update about the market. I'm excited to have 4 people today on the podcast. Yeah. Super exciting. We're going to talk about a few things today. One of them is the Toronto Blue Jays and what we can learn from them in the real estate world. The OK Blue Jays.
Heartbreak.
Disappointing weekend. We're also going to briefly talk about foreign buyers. And then we're going to wrap it up. So exciting times ahead. Yeah,
perfect. So, we were chatting just before the show about the Toronto Blue Jays. And, if you're anywhere in the Northern Hemisphere, the center of it, I think, is Toronto. The center of the Northern Hemisphere. That's what we think anyways. But, it's so disappointing to see the Toronto Blue Jays make it to the wild card race and then to lose in the way that they did was bad too. But, as we were chatting about the ups and downs of the real estate market, one of the things that we noted was, the demand for Toronto Blue Jays swag. So a hat, a shirt, if you're lucky, a ticket was through the roof last week. I mean,
a lot of bandwagoners, right?
Lots. It was
people
so
who haven't watched a Jays game in 15 years
Yeah.
are like the #1 Jays fan. I'm
Yes,
here.
That was
yes.
me. Admittedly, that was
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, Ray,
That was-
Ray
that
had
was
like
Ray
face
Ortiz.
I jumped on
tattoos.
that bandwagon
He
so
was
fast.
even he's the second most famous Ortiz in baseball.
Exactly.
But
Jumped off that wagon
know,
after
when-
the
and-
6th inning, though.
yeah,
I
it
know,
was
it
pretty
was
tough.
sad. It was
Pretty tough when they smashed into each other. I was like, oh geez, this is not meant to be. But I'll say that when we look at the demand for a Blue Jays T-shirt last week, and we look at the demand for a Blue Jays T-shirt this week,
Mm-hmm.
drastically different.
Yeah.
You go into any like Walmart and you'll see for $10 you can buy a Blue Jays T-shirt when they were $45 last week. So now let me ask the group: did the value of the Blue Jays inherently change in
Well, it's
3
the
days?
exact same. It's been the last 3 weeks. The Blue Jays have been the same team,
Mhm.
the same. I mean, they were playing well. Like,
Yeah.
there's no argument. But I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
the value of the Jays, no. I mean, it's the same. right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, and it's just the momentum and the enthusiasm behind the Blue Jays made them popular. And the same is true as we bring it back into real estate. This is the Above and Beyond Real Estate show. When we talk about the value of real estate and the enthusiasm behind it, is the value of the home the same as it was in February?
Mhm.
Yes, a home is still a home. It's still a place to go in at night. It's a place to feel safe with your family. It's a place to create memories.
Mhm.
It's not as if it is no longer providing that value.
Mhm.
It's just the momentum behind it has changed,
Right.
and that's what's really
Right.
been
And the hype
shift.
around buying the
hype.
home and the hype around the market and prices and everything, right? So yeah, I totally get it.
Hopefully, no one burns their house down like they burned those Jays jersey, though.
Oh, I know.
man.
That's
Let's hope not.
I
Let's
saw a
hope
cou-
not.
we do
I saw a
not
couple of
endorse or
those.
condone
No,
any
none of
burning
that.
of anything.
No,
on the show.
None of that.
But it's funny because let's watch, because today is the season opener for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So they are in Montreal tonight.
Colin's a bit of a
so
Maple Leafs nut.
I'm a little bit of
hockey
a
fan.
sports fan. Yeah,
Hockey fan.
I'd say I'm a rather large hockey fan.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm a big Toronto Maple Leafs fan. But this is the year, guys. This is the
Unfortunately,
year.
unfortunately,
This is the year.
Every
This
year,
is
every
unfortunately,
year
yes,
for the last
yeah.
60 years.
But it's funny because let's see, right? Like to your point about
Yeah.
value and everything. Like this is like start of the season, everyone's buying new Jays gear
Yeah.
and
Yep.
new jerseys and stuff. So and then depending on how they perform, let's see what
Yeah.
happens with that. But
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? It's there's cycles in psychology and what we're paying attention to.
mhm.
And they say follow the attention because that's where the money leads, right?
Mhm.
So right now, real estate is a hot topic in terms of something to discuss, primarily because 70% of Canadians own real estate,
Mhm.
so it's a hot button topic always.
Mhm.
And fear leads headlines. We know that,
For sure.
but ultimately we'll see what is the fate of the Toronto real estate market the same as the Toronto Blue Jays. I guess
let's hope
we'll
not.
have to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of headlines, though, good little segue. Foreign buyers. Foreign buyers are in the news again. Was it 12? How long ago was it the 20% foreign buyers tax?
So the
When did
foreign
that
buyers
come in?
tax kicked in, and the
Last-
15% foreign buyers tax
It was like 2 years ago,
was
right?
not
Or
2017.
tw-
That was part of
2017. yeah, yeah.
Kathleen Wynne in 2017
Right.
in an attempt to slow down the real estate market. She came out with the very clever 12-point or
Mhm.
17-point Fair Housing Act, which one of the most prevalent things was a 15% foreign buyers tax implemented in the Golden Horseshoe.
Right.
So that's around the GTA, and that was the catalyst to make the 2017 market really collapse.
Mhm.
Not because necessarily the effects. I believe it was more the speculation
Mhm.
that the market would be coming
Mhm.
down, so buyers were more reluctant.
Mhm.
What we saw in April of this year was a provincial foreign buyers tax.
Mhm.
So in the province of Ontario, Doug Ford said 20% foreign buyers tax,
Mhm.
or a tax would be applied for any foreign buyers purchasing real estate in Ontario.
Was that before? That was after BC did it, right? Because didn't BC try to initiate this
Yeah.
and like see how it
Correct.
impacted the market?
Correct.
And then I guess maybe it worked. So Ontario was like, let's give it a go, right?
Yeah.
To try to calm things down.
Yeah, that
So-
was part of their effect, was to calm things down. If you remember, first quarter of this year, prices were really escalating in an unsustainable way, and that was
Mhm.
one of the mechanisms they thought of.
Mhm.
I think the difference between a 15% local tax versus a 20% provincial tax, when we saw 15% tax in the Greater Toronto area,
Mhm.
that automatically caused a spike in our competitors. So in Economics 101, when there's a tax on a product, for example, if Coca-Cola gets taxed $1 per can, laws in economics say that the cost of Pepsi can go up 99 cents.
Right.
And that's what we saw in the explosion in the real estate market in Ottawa, in we look at Kitchener-Waterloo area, other parts throughout the GTA exploded, partially because of the foreign buyers being pushed to savings.
Right.
But was it the foreign buyers that were driving the crazy growth in February and March? Was that the problem?
I don't think that was.
Yeah.
I don't think that was the core catalyst. But again, and we talked about this on the shows before, is that a foreign buyer is a net consumer. There's somebody who's buying real estate.
Yep.
They're increasing demand for real estate, but they are not increasing supply. If Colin was to sell his family home and buy another home, he consumed one home in the market, but he also supplied one home in the market. So from a supply demand, there's no impact on Colin moving.
Give one, get one, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And they're just getting one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what we saw now this April, the province said 20% tax for any foreign buyers, and then the federal government in Ottawa said we're going to ban foreign buyers for the next 2 years. Now this is kicking in on January 1st, 2023. It will be illegal for foreign buyers to invest in real estate in Canada unless they are permanent resident or applying for citizenship.
It's crazy, eh?
There's some small loopholes in there.
It's crazy.
But I'm curious to what you guys think. I mean, how do you feel about a federal ban on foreign buyers?
I think it's going to make affordability much more difficult for non-homeowners, right? Because now maybe these foreigners that want to come here don't have to buy, they can rent, right? And the rental market could increase for people that already can't afford a home, make it even more difficult for them to rent a home.
Yeah.
It creates more competition in
We're
the
seeing
rental
that
market
to be
space.
super competitive right now, right?
Super competitive, right? You get 10 offers on a lease. That's unheard of.
Yeah.
That's
We
unheard
saw
of.
rental rates come up 41% in 2 months.
Yeah.
Like it's the same unsustainable growth we saw in the real estate sales in the first start of the year. We're seeing it now in rental.
They're trying to curb one problem, but they're going to create another problem.
And probably maybe
For sure.
I'd argue maybe a more vulnerable element or population in the economy is someone that's new to the country, has nowhere to live.
Right.
You have to
Barely
take care
has
of
a
your
job.
family. Yeah, you have
Yeah.
to take care of your family. And even local Canadians, students, they're having a hard time affording homes in a way to lower the purchase price, but then now the rental rates are matching.
But we have to remember too, right? Like our economy, a large chunk of the workforce are immigrants, foreigners. And if we're now telling them, you come to our country, you can't buy a house here, and then what's their other option? Like everyone wants a roof over their head. Well, they have to rent. Well, we now look at the rental market and how crazy competitive it is.
Yeah.
You lived in Canada, you have a credit score in Canada, you have employment history in Canada, and you make $150,000 a year, and you still can't find a rental.
Yeah.
So how are these foreigners going to find a place to live? Like I think it's a real problem in our country right now.
Especially now with this competition, landlords are being way more pickier,
Yeah.
and they're shying away from foreigners, right? They want Canadians with a job, a credit score. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
It's
going to be difficult.
From an equity perspective, from a fairness perspective, Ray, what do you think? Do you think this is fair legislation?
I don't, not for this country anyways. Like this country is built on immigration, so I think it would be very difficult for the market to kind of adjust if we're limiting the amount of people that can contribute to society, so.
Yeah. I think the idea of banning foreign buyers, I think number one, it's unfair personally. If somebody wants to trade in real estate, if they want to sell their home, why should they be limited to only people within Canada?
Right.
I think it is exclusive. I think anyone that I know, 99% or 99.9% of people I know were not originally from Canada.
Yeah.
We're generally, it's a country of people that were not from here.
Yeah.
And it's unfair to say we're going to close the door and now all of a sudden we're going to make home ownership, permitted to the people that got here first.
I think what about your thoughts on just like increasing the tax even more? If you're a foreigner and you want to buy here, sure you can buy, but now we're going to tax you 40%.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's two sides of the story here. I think one of them is to allow current Canadians a better opportunity to purchase a home in Canada, right? I think that's the main reason for why they're doing it. So they're saying by banning foreign buyers, this is going to give current Canadians, more opportunity, right? But at the same time, it's like I think there's a whole ripple effect down the economy when we say let's let's ban this. There's many other countries in the world that have legislation like this, that you can't purchase or own property here unless you're a citizen of the country. So I don't think we're like one of the only countries doing this. There are many countries around the world that do this, but it's now a question of, okay, now how do I get citizenship of the country, and how do I become PR? Like, which we don't need to get into.
But I think, and I've had this approach since before 2017. I've been saying this since 2010 when we saw the spike in the golden horseshoe. I've been selling real estate 15 years, and I got into the industry just after Mike Harris implemented the Oak Ridges Moraine Act,
right,
which basically froze development around. So anyone watching or listening, it's basically Oak Ridges Moraine is protected lands just north of the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area, and it was that freeze of development in that land that stopped urban sprawl, and that was the catalyst for houses on high appreciation since 2005. Now there's dips in the market, but they've all been policy driven.
Right.
It's not core demand driven.
Right.
It's policy driven. It's intentional by a government. I think that the solution to housing issues or inequity or finding moderate prices in Canada is not by banning foreign buyers. I think it's by increasing the supply.
Right.
They've been trying to push down demand, and they're only focused on the demand side of the curve. But if they were to just
whole other side,
make it a lot easier. Listen, I've been applying for a building permit. I'm in my 7th month, and I'm building a garage. Like it's
There's
still
so much red
not
tape. It's
done.
crazy, right?
Like, imagine a house.
Yeah.
Imagine someone that has less experience than me. Like that is hard. That's a really red tape rich area of and I think personally, I believe that the municipalities are going slower on purpose right now so that they can unlock some federal money. I believe that the federal government will say, if you can speed up building permits from an average of 18 weeks and bring it into 12 weeks, we'll give you $300,000 or $300 million to the municipality. Something to that effect. I don't know the details. This is only a guess. But I believe there's something that's making them go slower than they need to be. Because really, if we just said, hey, you can make a legal basement apartment, very simple. You don't have to pay right now to make a legal basement apartment in Markham. The permit process costs $50,000.
Wow. Just a permitting process.
Just administrative. It's $50,000.
Yeah.
So if they were to eliminate that and say, look, we're going to give a grant of $15,000 to help you retrofit your basement to make it a legal apartment, a safe place for Canadians to live. And we're going to give you the $15,000 in a grant, provided it's inspected by a municipality, inspected by the fire safety, make sure it's safe. Like, if that's the case, then housing problems disappear because now affordability is a lot better because you're collecting rent for your basement. Tenants are not forced to pay exorbitant amounts, right? You'd be unlocking, doubling the real estate value.
I think lending institutions should make it easier for first-time home buyers. Just that group, because it is so hard for young people to get into the marketplace. Just offer them interest rate discounts, like make it more affordable for them. You know what I mean? Then maybe, I don't know exactly the rules of what it will be, like 10 years down the road after they build some equity, whatever, or the second or third purchase, they could go to like the regular rate like everyone else would be. But I think they should make it easier for first-time home buyers and make the lending cost cheaper for them.
That would be an interesting policy. It's a great idea. If they had, for example, a 10-year mortgage instead of a 5-year term, a 10-year term with escalating interest rates, where you started off in more affordable, and then years from now you would have paid down some debt, hopefully making some more money. I just don't know how that would work, but it's some creative ideas. Hopefully some politicians are listening.
Well, that's why they implemented the rebates on like land transfer tax and everything, right, for first-time home buyers. But
it's not enough though.
No,
it's like $2,000.
Yeah, that's not going to make it affordable. Not when we're talking about
it's not going to make
an urban center, right? And I think the other dimension to this is that as house prices go down, people's perception of their own wealth goes down. So the country feels poorer, even though you're still living in the same house,
Right.
you're driving the same car, you just feel poor.
Because to buy a carton of milk is now like $6. Like,
I bought
crazy.
4-liter milk yesterday for $7.69. I was like, whoa,
Yeah, I
that's
know, it's
pricey.
You should have did it like on a payment, like 1 liter.
Is there a payment plan for this milk?
$1 a day.
250 milliliter containers.
I think also it can be very motivational for young Canadians to get into the marketplace and get a job and continue moving forward because they have a home now. They have like something to pay towards. It could be like very like driven for them. You know what I mean? And I think it's like
It creates ambition
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, so as we just kind of come towards the tail end of the show, I just want to remind everyone out there to like and subscribe, comment down below if you have an opinion on how can we manage a sustainable growth in Canada. And the other question is, do you think banning foreign buyers is the right thing for our country to do? Does it feel Canadian? Comment down below, and we'll get some comments from Ray, Dan, and Colin in there as well. And just before we wrap up, any other thoughts, guys, plans this coming week? Anything else that's on your agenda? Or
I'm watching the Maple Leafs game
Oh,
tonight.
Maple Leafs game.
Yeah.
Who's gonna win the cup, Colin?
Toronto Maple Leafs.
Do you think Toronto Maple Leafs are gonna win the cup?
I
For
think
real?
For real, I think they have a pretty good chance if their goaltending works out this year.
Okay, put up your hand if
Yeah.
you think Colin is accurate.
It's too early.
No one is ever going to put their hand
Ban-
on.
I am
the
the
bandwagon is
Toronto
not.
Maple Leafs.
You know
the
what?
bandwagon's not
I believe in
open yet.
Colin.
But thank you, Dan.
I believe in
Thank you, Dan.
Colin.
Thank you, Dan. Can I pose one more thing?
I love
Next
that.
week, I want to talk about on the podcast, if I'm on it,
Yeah,
a $500,000 question. I'm going to leave it at that. It's a
Five-
cliffhanger.
$500,000 question
Yeah.
next week.
Next week on the podcast.
You guys have to stay tuned.
Do
pay
we need?
attention.
Do we need that money? Do we need to have
hey,
that money for it to get
I-
an answer?
up to your interpretation. It's a
Colin,
$500,000
So we're
question.
like able to interpret it. Colin is giving away
That is
$500,000
not at all what I'm
on
saying.
next week's episode. So stay tuned.
All right.
I think that's what he said. Well, without further ado, guys, thank you so much for watching. We hope you make it a great week ahead, and stay tuned for upcoming episodes and make it a great one.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
If you like what you saw, check out these other videos on our channel. Please like, subscribe, follow, comment, whatever this thing is prompting you to do. If there's some buttons around my head, just click on them. It'll be worth it.